everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with a new topic relating to Indian Penal Code. Often in our school days or in our law college days, we used to skip some chapters in each and every subject. We only focus on our syllabus. That anyhow we have to complete our syllabus and we have to get good marks. But we don't focus on one thing, and that is we should know each and every topic. Though it is not possible to remember all the sections or all the articles or case laws of any particular topic or any section or any subject, but we should, and not only should, we must read each and every section or each and every article, whether it is an article of Indian Constitution or whether it is section of IPC or CRPC or CPC. Though we cannot remember all of them, but at least for once we should read each and every section. Because in our day-to-day life, when we will be busy in our legal practice, there are many topics about which we won't be aware. So at that time, we will be very shamed that we are not able to give answer of those questions. So for ignoring that portion, we should this is my personal suggestion that we should read each and every section of our subject. It may be IPC, CRPC, CPC, evidence, constitution, or others. But IPC and CRPC, if you are focusing to practice in legal field relating to criminal practice, then you must know each and every section of IPC as well as CRPC. Though you cannot remember it, but you should read about it. So today I am here to discuss about a very important topic, and that is false evidence as well as fabricating false evidence. We are often very much confused that yes, false evidence and fabricating of false evidence both are same, but these both are not same. Both are different. So today I am here to discuss about false evidence as well as fabricating false evidence. How to which often constitute under false evidence and which constitute under fabricating false evidence. Because I personally think that this topic is very much important, not only for our syllabus in our law colleges, but in our legal practice. This topic is going to be a very helpful if we focus on this subject or in this topic on this topic. So before starting our this new video, I would like to suggest that whenever you are watching any video regarding your subject, it is better to open your book and you just focus on both, on the video as well as on the book also. You must note down the sections. If you are not having a book, you must note down the sections about which you are watching a video, because it will be very much helpful if you can read the theoretical portion as well as you can see the practical portion by watching any relevant video. So let's start with our video. No much talk. So let's start. Let's move to our main topic. False evidence or fabricating false evidence is covered under Chapter 11 of the Indian Penal Code. Both these topics are part and parcel of the same chapter, chapter number 11. So before making any differentiation or any stating about any similarities, I would like to clear this topic, that what is false evidence. According to section 191, whoever being legally bound by an oath or by an express provision of law to state the truth, or being bound by law to make a declaration upon any subject, makes any statement which is false, and which he either knows or believes to be false or does not believe it to be true, is said to give false evidence. It means, suppose a person, he is legally bound to give a statement regarding a particular topic in the court of law, and he is bound to give true statement, and instead of giving true statement or making any true declaration, he is doing the contrary. He is giving a false statement which he knows to be false or which he believes that it is not true. This is called giving false evidence. And the statement which he is giving, the false statement, it may be verbal or it may be written. It is not necessary that the statement must be verbal one. It may be written one. For an example, suppose there is a dispute regarding any forgery case. There is a forgery case, and the main question is that who has written this or who has forged the, suppose a check or something else. For inspection purpose, that who has written this, A is called upon in the court of law, and it is the allegation upon B that it is the handwriting of B. It means he has forged the same, any document or any check. A, who is being called in the court of law, he is asked or he is bound to tell the truth that whether this is the handwriting of B or not. But here A, who has never seen the handwriting of B, that how his handwriting is, he has never been in touch with B, though he knows that his statement is not true or he knows that his statement is false, he is giving a statement in the court of law that yes, this is the handwriting of B. And because of that statement, A may be convicted, B may be convicted or he may be punished based upon that A's false statement. So here the statement which A is giving is false. Rather than he should give true statement because he is legally bound to do that. And instead of giving true statement, he is giving false statement. So this is giving false evidence. This is giving false evidence, which is dealt under section 191 of the Indian Penal Code. So this is false statement, false evidence. In India, we know this concept as false evidence. But in England, or as per the English law, this concept is called perjury. The offense of giving false evidence is known as perjury under the English law. Under English law, we called it as perjury, whereas under Indian law, it is called as giving false evidence. Though we are calling giving false evidence as perjury, but both these topics are not same totally. According to English law, perjury is at common law consists in giving upon oath in or for the purposes of judicial proceeding before a competent tribunal, evidence which is material to some question depending on the proceeding and is false to the knowledge of the deponent and is not believed by him to be true. Means we can say that more or less perjury and false evidence are same, but they are not totally same. In England, the offense of perjury must be proved by at least 2 witnesses. And here is the difference. Here is the difference that lie between false evidence and perjury. In perjury, that perjury must be proved by at least 2 witnesses under English law. But in Indian law, there is no need to prove it by 2 or more witnesses. There is no need of proving it by any witnesses. Okay, this is the main difference between perjury and false evidence. Apart from these, all the essential ingredients are same in relation to perjury as well as in relation to false evidence. So this is false evidence as well as perjury. Now let's know what is giving false information and what is giving false evidence. False differences. False information may be given to anyone. Then suppose you are a new resident of suppose Kalyani and I am an old resident of there. You came there for any purpose and you don't know the address of Mr. B. You asked me where does Mr. B live? I know that Mr. B doesn't live right to my house, but I am giving you false information that yes, the house beside my the house just beside my one is the house of Mr. B. I know that Mr. B doesn't live there, but in order to harass that person or just for joke or just for any other purpose, I am giving false information to Mr. A. I am giving false information. Here I am not legally bound to give true statement. That no, that here A cannot come and ask me that why you have given me false information. You are not bound to give false information. He cannot say, because here I am not legally bound by any oath or any legal provision of law. So this is giving false information. Whereas the same example which we took while discussing about false evidence, that A told that yes, this is the handwriting of B, which he was bound by law to give the true statement, but rather than giving true statement he had given the false statement. So at that moment, in this case, if it is proved that he has given false evidence, he will be punished. But in the previous one where A has asked about the address of B, in that case I won't be liable or I won't be punished for giving false evidence, false information. He may say that you have not done this, he may say this, that you have done a bad job, but he cannot punish me, or the law cannot punish me for giving false information, but the law can punish me for giving false evidence. So this is the first difference. What is the second difference? The second difference is this, that the false information is never given on an oath. Means I am not bound by any oath to give the true statement. But in case of false evidence, I am bound to give the true statement. The third difference is the false information may be given to anyone, as in the case of address of B. Mr. A, he is a normal citizen, he is not a public servant, he is a private individual, and he has asked for any information which I have given false information to him. But in case of A and B regarding the handwriting one case, in that case, A is giving that statement before the court of law, and we know that the judicial officer is a public servant, which has been defined in section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. So, in case of false evidence, the oath or the express law is asking me to give the true statement, and this true statement must be given before whom? Before any public servant. But this false information may be given to anyone. There is no need that, no, it is not necessary that the information must be given to any public servant. And the last difference is this, for giving false evidence, a person may be punished because he is legally bound to do so. He is legally bound to give the true statement. But for giving false information, no one will be punished because he is not legally bound to give the true information. It is up to him. If he is a good citizen, he won't give any false information. And if he is not, then he will give false information, but he won't be punished because he is not bound by law. So I think this topic or this concept false evidence is somewhat more clear to you, because while discussing about it, I have discussed about perjury, then what is the difference between false evidence and giving false information. Now let's move to fabricating false evidence. What is fabricating false evidence? According to section 192 of the Indian Penal Code, whoever causes any circumstance to exist or makes any false entry in any book or record or any electronic record, or makes any document or any electronic record containing a false statement, intending that such statement or circumstance may appear in evidence in a judicial proceeding or in a proceeding taken by law before a public servant as such, or before an arbitrator, and that such circumstance or false statement may appear in evidence in a judicial proceeding or in a proceeding taken by law before a public servant or before an arbitrator, and such circumstance or entry or statement so appearing in evidence may cause any person who in such proceeding is to form an opinion upon the evidence to entertain an erroneous opinion touching any point material to the result of such proceeding, is to say fabricate false evidence. So this is the language of Bayer Act. So let's know, it is an easy language. Let's know about it. What is fabricating false evidence? Section 192 of the Indian Penal Code is stating about fabricating false evidence. In just giving previous section, that is section 191, we read about giving false evidence. Giving false evidence means we are bound to give by any law, by prescribed law, or by any proclamation, or by any declaration, and we are giving any false statement. We read it previously. And what is fabricating false evidence? Fabricating false evidence means we are creating a situation, or we are creating a circumstance, or suppose we are making any false entry into any book or record or any electronic record which may be used in a judicial proceeding, and because of that false entry in the record or the book, or because of that false situation which I have created falsely, because of that the judicial officer may make an opinion and may punish, or he may either he may convict, he can convict the person who is alleged to have committed that crime, or he can release him, he can acquit him. So depending upon that false evidence, that is for that false statement or false entry in the record or in the book, or that false situation which I have created, on the basis of that a person may be acquitted or he may be convicted. This is called fabricating false evidence. Let us know with the help of an example. A puts a jewelry into the box of Z. That box belongs to Z, and this is very well known to A that this box is of Z. He intentionally puts a jewelry in his box, and he knows that if during inspection everyone's box will be checked, ultimately the jewelry will be found in the box of Z, and on that basis he will be punished. He knows that. So he has created one situation. What is that situation? He has put that jewelry into the box of Z without his consent, and he has done this intentionally, so that on this basis the person who will give the punishment will make an opinion that yes, Z is the ultimate thief. He has taken the jewelry. So he has created a situation. It means he has fabricated false evidence. He has fabricated. Here he has not given any statement, but he has created a situation in such a way that he won't need to say anything, and on the basis of just by putting the jewelry into the box of Z will be punished if after inspection it will be found from his box. Let's take another example. Suppose A is the shopkeeper and P is the purchaser. Okay, he is a customer. He always used to buy goods from his shop. Intentionally and falsely, A has made a false entry into his book of record regarding purchase of a particular good, so that in future he can claim from B that yes, you have taken this good from my shop and you are bound to pay me this. He knows that. And he also knows it very well that the court may ask for that book of record which he has maintained. And it is also known to him that on the basis of this false entry in his record, it will be very clear to the authority, to the judicial officer, that yes, he has taken goods from A's shop and he is bound to pay that amount. Though B has not taken it, but A had falsely created such a situation, as well as he has made a false entry into his book of record, which he knows that may be taken as an evidence in a judicial proceeding, and on that basis B may be asked to pay a certain amount of money which A is claiming. So this is making false entry. So by making a false entry into a book of record, or by creating a false situation or a circumstance on the basis of which the judicial officer or the public servant will make an opinion regarding the alleged or the accused person, and on that opinion he may be acquitted or he may be convicted. In many cases it is actually done so that the other person may be convicted, not for acquittal but for conviction is mainly done. So this is fabricating false evidence. So let's know what is for fabricating false evidence and what is giving false evidence. Let's differentiate between them. Section 191 deals with giving false evidence, whereas section 192 deals with fabricating false evidence. In both this case, the mens rea is very much important, because the mens rea, he has the guilty mind, the person has the guilty mind. In previous case also he is giving a false statement which he knows that it is not true, and in the second case also the person is creating such a circumstance or is making a false entry into a book so that the mind of the judicial officer may be changed or the opinion may be changed. Guilty mind or the mens rea is very important in both the cases. What is the difference between them? The difference is this: in case of giving false evidence, only general intention is required, whereas in fabricating false evidence, a particular intention is required. And we have already seen the example. We have taken an example that A was called in the court of law to state that whether the handwriting is of B or not. Though it was not known to him that whether it was B's handwriting or not, but he told that yes, it is B's handwriting. But on that basis, B won't be convicted, because on the basis of a person's statement, another person cannot be convicted unless and until there is corroborative evidence in relation to that. So his intention is to give false statement regarding just not about a specific or a particular. He don't have a particular or a specific intention. He is just a general intention. But in case of fabricating false evidence, I am making a false entry into a book of record, knowing that it is not true, and I know that on the basis of that false entry, you may be asked to pay me back the amount of money which I have entered in that book of record. So there is a particular intention in case of fabricating false evidence. Next is the second difference is, in case of false evidence, a person is bound by an oath or by an express provision of law to make the true statement, to make a true declaration regarding any subject. But in case of fabricating false evidence, it is not compulsory that he will be asked he is asked to give a statement of oath or by declaration or anything else. The third difference is, giving false evidence will not be made on a particular point, but fabricating false evidence is always made on a particular point, that is material point, and that material point, on the basis of that material point, a person either may be acquitted or he may be convicted. Means we have taken an example that A has put a jewelry into the box of Z, and he knows very well that after inspection, if the jewelry will be found in Z's box, people will clearly understand that he is the ultimate thief and he will be punished. So material point, I am creating a situation on a material fact, and I know it will have a very great impact or influence on the decision or the opinion of the judicial officer, which is absence in case of giving false evidence. What is the last difference? The last difference is this: in case of false evidence, there is a judicial proceeding. There is a proceeding. But in case of fabricating false evidence, I am not called upon to give a statement on oath or by any declaration or any express provision of law. But in case of false evidence, I am called upon in the court of law or before any public servant to give a true statement, either on oath or by express provision of law. So these are the four main differences between fabricating false evidence and false evidence, giving false evidence. There is section 193 which deals about punishment of false evidence and fabricating evidence both. If the false evidence or the fabricating evidence is given in relation to a judicial proceeding, then the person may be punished with an imprisonment which may extend to 7 years and shall also be liable to fine. And if that fabricating false evidence or that false evidence is not in case of a judicial proceeding, then the person that accused will be liable for only 3 years imprisonment and fine also. There are other sections in this chapter, chapter 11, but our main concern was upon the false evidence, the concept of false evidence as well as fabricating evidence. People are very much confused. They get confused about these terms and concepts. They think that both the concepts are same, but these both concepts are not same. Though they belong to the same chapter, they are part and parcel of the same chapter. They are interlinked. They are related with each other. The punishment is more or less same, but there are major differences, and both the concepts are different. And I think that this is a very important topic for a legal student, for a law student. Not only for a law student, a law practitioner, because in his legal field, this topic may come again and again, false evidence, fabricating false evidence. So one should know what is giving false evidence and what is fabricating false evidence. So this is the end of our video. But before ending it, I would like to say that please just go through with your books, go through with the language of the Bare Act. Though the language of the Bare Act is quite, you may say, difficult, because you should know how to read the provision of a Bare Act. Everyone doesn't know how to read the provision or the language of the Bare Act. So you should learn how to read the language of the Bare Act, where to stop, where not to. We should know about it. And reading again and again will improve our English speaking skill as well as our reading skill. But one more suggestion I would like to give, which I have given in the starting of the video, that before watching any video regarding any particular topic relating to your subject, you must open up your book, or you must note down the sections or the main points which are told in the videos. And after making you can make a rough, you can note down them in a rough way, and after that, when you will read in your books that what is the section, what is the language of the Bare Act, it will be really very helpful if you will put both the things together. So if there is any doubt regarding this topic, then you can ask me in the comment section. Okay, till then, goodbye. Please like, subscribe and share my video. Thank you.